3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, welcome to another My Kids Locker podcast. This is Victoria Wolders, your host, and I am so excited today to share with you another empathy tale, creating compassion, one story at a time, and with the hope that you too will be able to create compassion, one story at a time in your own life. Today we're going to be talking about a story called The Whistling Northern Lights. Yes, called The Whistling Northern Lights. There's a little bit of a background story to this empathy tale. I had the pleasure of having a conversation with someone who is from the Yukon Territories. She is a friend of my mother-in-law's and father-in-law's. Her name is Sheila, and she is from the Yukon Territories. And she shared with me a story about how the real Northern Lights up in northern Canada has a legend. The legend is that if you whistle when you see the Northern Lights, they will dance for you. Well, I took some time to think about the Northern Lights because I've actually never seen them before. Love to see them. And I thought, isn't that a cool idea? She had said to me that she thought it was from an Indigenous group or groups of people that are up in northern Canada. And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be awesome to somehow integrate this idea of dancing Northern Lights into the empathy tales and the magical world of the Oak and Eagle Kingdom. But not only that, to be able to somehow include virtues in there. And so I have this idea of gratitude and legacy and appreciation. I know that they may not fall under the typical virtues, but those are kind of the themes today while we delve into this brand new story called The Whistling Northern Lights. So if you are comfortable, then I will begin. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in the Oak and Eagle Kingdom, up in the land of the Northern Eagle, there lived a man who lived in a large cottage in the bottom of a valley. His name was Whistler, because he could whistle beautifully. During the wintertime, he would often see, up in the land of the Northern Eagle, beautiful lights come up above the mountains. As the sun was setting, it was dusk, he could see some of these lights, and they came to be known as the Northern Lights. These Northern Lights were absolutely beautiful. There were purples, blues, yellows, and oranges, and all different colors. The only thing was that these lights would only go up and down. And because they'd only go up and down, they almost stayed still. He thought to himself when it was a clear night, wouldn't it be amazing if these lights danced? So he decided to go out and find the wizard of the Northern Eagle. The wizard lived in the frosted giant's village. He decided to travel to go talk to the wizard of the Northern Eagle in his frosted giant's village. This wizard was a giant. He lived in a village with all these giants that were frosted, and they looked cold. The frosted giants looked like giants the size of polar bears without fur. The wizard was no exception. His head was white, and he was a big giant, yet he was a wizard too. This man went to the wizard. He knocked on the wizard's door. The wizard of the Northern Eagle opened the door and said, "What would you like?" The whistler said, "Every night I see these beautiful northern lights come up, yet they only go up and down. I think it would be beautiful if they could dance with the sky and they would show to everyone the beauty of different colors the earth can make." The land of the Northern Eagle wizard said, "Well, what would you give me in return?" The man said, "Well, I am poor and I do not have much. However, I can contribute one thing. Since I was a young boy, I've always been a talented whistler. If you grant me the dancing of the lights, during the light show, I will whistle all the time, and I will give you my gift of whistling, and when I whistle, the lights will dance. I would dedicate every single whistle to the Northern Lights. And if we do that, I can also teach others in my community how to whistle, and they can dedicate their whistling to the Northern Lights too. And soon the Northern Lights will dance, and we will become a stronger community. The wizard looked at him and said, "Well, I will gift you the dancing Northern Lights, only if you whistle." So from that point on, whenever the man whistled during the Northern Lights, they would dance, and they were so beautiful. They would twirl, they'd go sideways, they'd go up and down. It almost looked like beautiful brides dancing in a row with different colors on. The wizard looked at him and said, "Well, I will gift you the dancing Northern Lights, only if you whistle." From that point on, whenever the man whistled during the Northern Lights, they would dance, and they were so beautiful. What happened was the man started to get old, and he was known as the Whistler. Many people would gather around his house. The Whistler came to love everyone, and everyone came to love the Whistler. Now, one thing that was really interesting about the land of the Northern Eagle is in the springtime, there would be these beautiful reeds that would come up in the meadows. They were almost as hard as bamboo. If you listened carefully when the wind blew through the meadows, you could hear the reeds whistling to each other. So the children of the land of the Northern Eagle would pick up these reeds, break them up, and then they would use them as flutes, and they would make beautiful whistling noises. Some of the youngest children in the land would use these whistles because their mouth could not whistle themselves. When the children got older, they would often be able to whistle with their mouths. Well, the man started to get older. He started to lose his voice. He started to lose his ability to be able to whistle. Yet the children of the Northern Eagle started to know how to whistle themselves. And those that couldn't use reeds, they wanted to still see the lights dancing. Their community came together to see and hear beauty. Every spring, they would make sure they would gather enough reeds. In the winter, when the wind blew cool and the sun was setting low in the sky, the Northern Lights would start coming up. The children began to join him and whistle with their mouths or reeds. They saw the beautiful dancing of the lights in the sky. It was magnificent. Well, one cold winter day, the man did not come out. He passed away. Yet the children still showed up, and they began to whistle with their mouths, and some came with their reeds. That night and onward, if the community looked up closely, you could see the old man dancing to the whistling children. He was finally happy. The land of the Northern Eagle changed the name of the Northern Lights to the whistling Northern Lights in honor of the Whistler. They knew from that point on that he was the one who granted the blessing of having the whistling Northern Lights. If it wasn't for the Whistler and the children to come together, the beauty of the sky wouldn't have been seen. The whistling Northern Lights would have just gone up and down. The whistlers' courage and bravery to ask the land of the Northern Eagle's wizard made it possible for them to see beauty, dance, and it built community and connection. The wizard was like a catalyst, but in the end, it was the Whistler and the children that truly created beauty. If it wasn't for the children getting the reeds and whistling with their mouths, then the legacy may not have continued. We are grateful for the role that the wizard, the whistler, and the children played in the land of the Northern Eagle to create more beauty and to create connection. The end. Thank you so much for listening to this beautiful tale of the whistling Northern Lights. And I want to thank Sheila for telling me about this beautiful story of the whistling Northern Lights. I think it's a beautiful testimony of how lights can dance. And I think that this story also talks so much about community and about how sometimes just having a little bit of bravery and a little bit of courage and just asking and going out and being vulnerable will actually change not only the person that asks, but the community that surrounds them. And this is an example in the land of the Northern Eagle where beauty was created from something that didn't dance and turning into something that does dance. Perhaps today you will create something that dances. Maybe it's an idea. Maybe it's something beautiful like a piece of art. Maybe it's your words. Maybe it's you going up to someone and share gratitude. But whatever it is, I hope that your heart dances today. And I hope that you, too, will be able to create compassion one story at a time. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope that I see you soon in the next Empathy Tale. This is Victoria Wolders signing off, wishing you a wonderful day and for you, too, to create compassion one story at a time. Thank you.